Okay, so we're going to start moving into color theory, and we're going to be using color pencils initially to explore color theory. And we're also going to be using color pencils to create textures in our lyric projects. So this is going to be all kind of wrapped up in one thing in terms of like understanding color pencils, how to use them, moving into color theory, and then also working on creating textures. All right, so the first thing you want to do is get out this sheet. Okay, you're going to need your white, gray, and black. Okay, you're going to need two sets of colors that will blend well with each other. So I have this blue and this green, and then I have a yellow and red. So we're going to figure out what happens when those colors are blended together. All right, at the top of the page, we have tint, tone, and shade. Okay, and I just kind of added that in the top of the paper. If you guys go ahead and do that. So tint, tone, and shade, make little squares. All right, and then I'm going to fill it in, what that means, tint, tone, and shade in the art world and vocabulary. So tint is adding white. So we're not going to see white too much on this paper because the paper is white, but we're adding white. Tone is we're adding gray. So I'm just going to put some gray. It's kind of a purpley gray. It's interesting. It's pretty. And then black, or shade rather, we're adding black. So if you ever go into a paint store and you want to have some paint mixed, you'll find oftentimes it'll say tint, because most of the time they're adding white, and there may be a little gray or a little black or whatever, but generally speaking, it's oftentimes they're adding tint or adding white to that color. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is how to use your color pencil. So you've noticed as I've been coloring or drawing on this paper, I'm going in circles. The reason why I'm going in circles is basically this helps the color to sit on the paper. Okay, so I'm not being aggressive with my coloring. I'm just going to call it coloring. I'm going in small circles because every time the pencil goes around, it's overlapping and it's filling in the paper. All right, so I know you really can't see the gray very much, but just trust that that's what I'm doing. And as I move down the paper, you'll see it more. Okay, so that's really important. Number one is to color in circles. Okay, so where you're overlapping. The second thing is to keep your pencil sharp. Okay, it actually is better in the long run. It helps you cover more ground. Color pencils is very tedious, very time consuming. You can create very realistic drawings. I mean, I love using color pencils with like mixed media with watercolors, for example, or when I'm on vacation and I'm traveling. But color pencils, if you're creating a project alone, it takes some time. All right, so I just want to kind of talk about that, and we want to take our time, right? At this point in our what we're doing is we're practicing being artists. We're not. I'm going to put this pencil off. We're not in kindergarten anymore. In other words, in kindergarten we colored like this, right? Now we're practicing being artists, and we're practicing using control. So you see what the difference is with this working in circles. I'm actually covering up the white in the paper, and that is the whole objective, to cover up the white in the paper. All right, I'm putting that over on the side. So I'm going back to this page. All right, this first little chart area is we're going to make a monochromatic, okay, monochromatic kind of a value scale from going light to dark. So monochromatic means, or mono means one. All right, so it's going to be one color. So we can do this a couple of ways. We can actually just take our pencil and we can maybe turn on the side and just go really light. And then this will be the darkest, so we can press down even harder. And I'm not going to fill in the entire square. We don't need to do that. And in the middle is going to be kind of the middle value. All right, I'm just going to cover both of these squares. All right, so I need to go a little bit darker because I want a little darker there. All right, that looks pretty good. So that's light, that's medium, that's dark, and then we're going to create a value scale going across. So I could use pressure, right? The other thing I can do is also add tint, tone, and shade, okay? So what I'd like for you to do is just go ahead and just do the light pressure going across your paper in circles. So I've already kind of established my medium value and my dark value, and I'm just going to connect up. And I'm working pretty quick. So turn your pencil on the side so you can cover a larger area. Okay. All right, it's not bad. This I know I'm going to darken up here. All right, then I'm going to take my white, because I'm going to start with my tint, because this is the beginning, and I'm going to just, again, turn my pencil on the side, and I'm going to go over this area to lighten. And it's also blending, so white is really a nice color to use if you want to blend colors together. Of course, it will lighten. You can also use blending pencils for blending your colors together so that you don't have textures if you want it to be really smooth. Or again, if you're just trying to just blend your colors together to layer. What we're going to be learning is that we want to work as artists, right? We're not working right out of the box anymore. We're working with multiple colors to create a richness in our drawing, and which then translates also to paintings, so on and so forth. All right, now I've got my gray, and I'm just going to kind of go over this middle part, maybe a little bit. You just have to kind of feel your way through here, but start off light. It's always light until it's right. We learned this with sketching. When you're sketching things, you start off really light. And then you formalize your lines later, right? All right, so there's my gray. And again, I'm just kind of getting started. And then I'm going to go and pick up my black, because then I'm going to add shade. You've heard of throwing shade, right? I'm going to darken this up. And I'm just kind of going over that color. I'm going to move into the gray area here. And then I'm going to kind of just stop it there, because I'm going to have my gray kind of move in there a little bit more. All right, I'm kind of trying to, yeah, that's not too bad. So we want to, what I like to do is squint my eyes and go, is it a value scale, right? There should be high contrast between the light and the dark. This certainly can go darker all the way across, so I'm going to just work on that a little bit more. And you can also go back and add your original color, also known as hue. We're going to be learning more about color vocabulary as we go through this. So I'm just layering again. All right. I'm going to just stop right there. That kind of gives you a good idea. I'm going to have you work on that. All right, next we're going to talk about directional shading, and this is just, again, about using control. Okay, how do you control your pencils? And that's kind of the biggest thing right now, again, is we're practicing control. All right, so with directional shading, you see where it says left to right, outside to inside, corner to corner. The thing is, guys, when you can move your paper around to make your life easier, right? So I'm going to just do some directional shading left to right. Well, I'm going to turn my paper this way because it's just easier to take my pencil and turn it sideways. So this is directional shading, left to right. And I'm just practicing control. I'm practicing overlapping my pencil marks. So I'm laying a color on the page, right? And you don't see strong marks like that, right? Okay, from outside to inside, if you guys can use the same color, whatever you want to do. So with this one, I'm gonna, because this is an oval, I'm gonna kind of use circular motions with my pencil. And you notice I've kind of shifted it. I'm working on this side because, again, I can cover more territory. With any kind of, well, when you're getting into paintings, we always kind of layer our colors. Maybe we'll start an underpainting, and if you take art 2, you will get more into that, you know, doing your base painting. So you're building up your canvas. And again, I'm just going to kind of just go into the center, and you can see actually kind of looks like it has formed, doesn't it? Leaving some light there. And then corner to corner, I'm just turning my paper, decide which corner I'm working in. I'm going to pull it up like that. And I'm just kind of using control, taking my time. And again, you don't have to fill up the entire space. So you can see also with color pencils, just like with pencils, unless you do a lot of blending, the texture that's created. All right, so you can see these strong vertical lines here because of going from left to right, so on and so forth. Okay, over here we're going to do some blending. So this is one color gradually changing to another color. All right, and this is where you're going to want to pick out 2 colors that blend well together. And we're going to be experimenting more with that, but I'm going to just do yellow and red together first. We always start off with our light color first. Okay, and I'm just going to go bottom to top, it doesn't really matter, circular motions, and I'm going to do the full area. Okay, and then I'm going to reverse because it's yellow turning into what we're going to see. If you know your colors, it's going to be orange. And then I'm going to kind of lighten it up so it's back to yellow. All right, so I'm going to just keep darkening this a little bit because I'm trying to get to that nice orange. And then back to yellow. So just keep kind of playing around with that. Okay, and I'm going to go back to my lighter color because lighter colors are great for blending. Just going to do a little bit of layer over top of that. Thing with color pencils is you have to kind of make choices pretty quickly. If you keep adding multiple layers on top of this, it gets really waxy, and then you kind of lost your ability to really layer. Oftentimes it may even become muddy. So again, you're going just really lightly and layering to create the color of your choice. And you can go darker, and I can go back in and just keep working that to make it a little bit darker. And I'm kind of just blending that area again too, and you can turn your pencil a little different direction. Explore that way too. Okay, and I'm going to, over here, use this blue and green. I'm not sure which one's the lightest, I'm just testing. Okay, so the green's the lightest. And a really pretty green. So again, I'm just gonna go from the bottom to the top, whatever you wanna do. If you wanna go, you change your direction, you can do that. No big deal. This pencil needs to be sharpened, it's broken. All right, now I'm taking my darker color, starting at the top. And again, I'm going pretty light. Light, 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 light. Just kind of just putting down some color first, and then I'm gonna start making decisions. And remember, we're leaving that original color at the bottom. So you can see how pretty your colors are when you're layering, right? When you're not working out of the box. Layering colors just creates a richness with your painting. I'm going to call it a painting because we're going to be doing this again in art too. If you want to blend it, just go over it with some white. You want to blend it a little bit more. Make sure that the white is clean. If you've been layering or lightening another color, or blending rather, you may have that color on your color pencil. So just make sure you have some paper towels, and you can see how that's really pretty. All right, nice blending there. Okay, Let's talk about sharpening. So the great thing with, I'll have a couple sharpeners on your table. You can use the lid of your color pencils for sharpening and just sharpen, into the lid. Just kind of go carefully, and that's better. And then just put it there. And at the end of class, you can just dump the lid, so to save time. All right, the next thing we're gonna move down to the color wheel challenge. Okay, this is our introduction to color theory. A lot of you already know that. You're gonna have a color wheel on the table, just as a reference. Okay, and we're gonna go ahead and plot out our colors. So I'm gonna call this one yellow. And let's see, 1, 2, 3. This is gonna be red. And then this is gonna 1, 2, 3. This will be blue. All right, so I'm gonna turn it like that. So it's just like my color wheel. There we go. Oh, there we go. So we have yellow, red, and blue. So it's three spaces in between. So yellow, 1, 2, 3, red, 1, 2, 3, blue. All right, and we're gonna be using our color pencils to color in our color wheel. Again, I like to turn my pencil on this side. So I'm just going to be working really quickly, and you can, I marked in the circle, but you can take your pencil and mark on the outside. So if you want to put on, yellow here, red, blue, to do that so that you don't have your smudging happening. But it's kind of nice to do this to don't forget. Again, you can turn your paper, or, just keep turning it to make it easier. And then blue. All right, so these are our primaries. At any point in time, don't forget to sharpen your pencil. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but just again, try to practice control. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to do our secondary colors. So secondary colors are orange, purple, and green. Okay, so orange is in the middle between yellow and red. So I'm going to put O for orange. Purple is in the middle between red and blue. So that's in the middle. So I'm going to put P. And then green is in the middle between yellow and blue. So I'm going to put G for green. Now we are actually going to color mix. All right, so you've already seen how you can blend colors. So I'm going to start off with my lighter color, yellow. And then I'm going to add my red. So in color mixing, we're doing this because we want to learn all about color theory. There will be a quiz on this. I'm going to move kind of quickly, but because I'm just getting started. So the first thing you notice that, again, I'm not pressing hard. I'm doing it light, and then I can start building up, okay? But initially do it light, and then you can start building up. Red and blue. I think the blue is the, no, the red's the lightest value. So now we're going for purple. Okay, there's our red. Now I'm going to add the blue. Purple to me is always the most challenging color to get in terms of like getting a nice purple. Depends upon your blue, depends upon your red. Like this red seems to have a lot of blue in it. Some reds are more orangey or corally-ish, or pink, I guess. So your purple is going to be the challenge in terms of getting it to that nice color purple. All right, just keep working it. I'm going to move on just because of time. But again, just keep mixing it until you get a nice purple. Okay, and then green. So that's going to be yellow and blue. Yellow is our lightest value. Still on the, yeah. And then blue on top of that. This is a nice green, actually. I like this green. So again, smaller. If you go out beyond the lines, it's okay. Just, you know, no big deal. Again, this is just kind of reinforcing color mixing, color theory. We'll be painting next quarter. So I'll be working with mixing paints, doing the same thing. Okay, there you go. All right, so now I've got my secondary colors. And then last will be our tertiary colors. And that is going to be your chartreuse, amber, vermilion, indigo, magenta, teal. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, okay. So you're going to have our yellow green, or I'm sorry, the yellow orange in between, the orange red in between, the red purple in between, the purple blue in between, the green blue here, and then the green yellow, okay? Sometimes, oftentimes you're going to find colors with different names, so I'm just going to avoid this, but just know that these are going to be tertiary colors. I'm just going to put T as in tertiary, because oftentimes these colors change, but these are mixed between, okay, those. Okay, so this is the middle, so you're mixing your yellow and your orange, right? So on and so forth. All right, I'm going to stop right here and let you continue working on that.